And you did close the window, right?
Not yet. I'm waiting. It's not because it's not streaming quite yet.
I have a notice that says the content of this meeting is being sent to YouTube.
Right now, I think it is. I like to make sure it is before I hang up the phone, as it were. And I see that Hunter's on his way. Well, that's me now, right? Because you not yet. I'm waiting. Okay. It should be streaming now. Says it's I think it is. Hi, Hunter.
Hello.
So I'm hoping
Unfortunately,
we can be
I
really, really efficient because while I don't care, you might. The Grammys are on.
Yeah,
have
he
to
has to
work. I
leave
didn't
soon.
realize that I had to work for it, so I only have about 20-30 minutes to spare for this, unfortunately. I didn't realize that we were going to have to cover this today.
Yeah, sorry. That's okay.
That's okay. No, my fault. I should have realized that I was going to have to work today.
Okay, that's fine. Where's Paula?
Well, I don't know where Paula is. Oh, one of our Christina, who's one of our candidates, is here.
Oh, and I see Lionel. Laura, I'd like to know, since we have outside members here, where's the chair of the committee?
Okay, Teresa, I don't know, but we'll have to proceed because Hunter needs to leave. And
I'm not going to proceed. Let me just call her right now and see if she's coming.
thank you. But we need to proceed because we don't have a huge amount of time. I mean, you
We
can call. Do you need her number? Do you want me to call her?
Yes, because as you know, only people who are not running for office can share this
Yes,
meeting.
Teresa, we do have guests, so let's.
Yeah. Hi, Lionel.
Well, hello there, Miss UNNC.
Masonette.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Teresa.
Yeah, the other person, Laura, is Myers. I could change my name so that we're not, but I'm gonna get up and walk away and make a phone call.
Okay.
Do you need me to email you the link? Do you want me to email you the link again? I'm because I'm sort of whispering the Zoom meeting actually started. Do you need me to send you the link? The Zoom link. Okay. All right, I'll do that. Bye. Teresa, she will be here very shortly. She has her grandson and the parent of the grandson is almost there. So I'm sending her the link again. Maybe she'll log in before, but that's the situation.
Okay. Well, if you would like to proceed, um,
Yeah,
as the only
yeah,
person.
but let me give her, let me send this. Okay. So I will proceed by saying
Okay,
hello to
I'm got
everybody.
point of order, Laura, as a person who's running as a candidate. I suggest that I conduct the meeting until Paula joins in.
That's fine. So
Okay.
do you want me to
Thank
give
you.
you
So welcome,
back?
everybody. We can make a co-host, or if you could just bring up the agenda, Laura, that would be great. Welcome, everybody. Paula Southern is the president of the United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council. And we had a chair for our elections committee who had to um, take a leave of absence. So the default person is our president, and until she arrives, I will begin conducting the meeting. Our rules state that only board members who are not running can chair the meeting. So I'm going to step in until she gets here. The agenda is a welcome and call to order, a review of the agenda and an attendee introductions, general public comments, website updates, and our plan for social media. Update content for printed materials, election events, roundtable discussion, and adjournment. So I'd like to welcome everybody and call the meeting to order and offer, we'll start off with attendee introductions. I'm Teresa Masonette. I represent the West Adams Avenues on the board of the Neighborhood Council. I'll just go by order that I see right here. Laura.
Okay. Hi, I'm Laura Myers. I really should change my name to just be Laura Myers. I am the vice president of United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council, and yes, I am a candidate for re-election.
Okay. Actually, since Candace
Candace is also a candidate. Everybody here with
Candace is a
exception.
candidate too. Okay.
Yeah.
Hunter, I see you next.
Hi, I'm Hunter. I'm the communications director for the United Neighborhood Council. I'm also a candidate running for re-election.
Christina.
Hi, I'm Christina Warfield. I am running for election. I own a home in Jefferson Park on 12th Avenue.
Okay, great. Thank you, Christina. Lionel.
Lionel Morris, member of the public, individual, from the District 6, here as an attendee. I'm a community advocate and budget advocate for Region 1. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Candace.
Hi, my name is Candace, and I am running for at large. I'm still in my first term and also now serving as treasurer for UNNC.
Okay. And David.
Hi, my name is David. I am on the governing board for the United Neighborhood Council and also up for election this term as well.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Are there any general public comments? Laura, can you stop the share for a minute? I think I saw.
Sure. And Lionel has his hand up.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Good evening, fellow board members. Lionel Morris speaking as an individual. I'm here to share with you some updates. I don't know if you realize this, but the city council removed the ability for members of the public to make public comment on their city council meetings. There is a procedural change by the council president in December of last year, and people can no longer make public comment on any agenda items or general public comment non-agenda items via telephone. So the only way to make public comment on any agenda items or non-agenda item is by attending city council meetings in person. So the LA Times published an article about this. So just letting you know, I think that it's a step backwards and in the opposite of progress. So I think as individuals or neighborhood councils, you should urge your council member to help reinstate public comment, telephonic public comment for council meetings as well as committee meetings, because not many people are able to attend in person at the council meetings. So that's number one. Number two, I don't know if you heard about this, but the Los Angeles Fire Department Chief Crowley has stated that her department's understaffed, which means that, for example, they need mechanics positions and other non-sworn positions because in Lincoln Heights, I think there's a yard full of fire trucks, ambulances, and other fire department equipment that need to be serviced and repaired, and they're just lingering there because they don't have sufficient mechanics to repair those vehicles. And from what I've heard from the news media, is that when some firefighters went to attend to the fires, some of them were told were I've heard that they were told to go back home or didn't have enough fire trucks. So we need to hire. The city needs to hire more non-sworn positions because the hiring freeze is having an impact on communities, especially underserved communities, because we rely on services from the city, from the government. So I think that even though despite that the salary increase, which is different because salary increase is different from hiring more staff. So one of the issues from LAFD and other city departments that there's a staff shortage and the hiring freeze is not helping. That's the consequences of that. So that's why it's very important for neighborhood councils. Again, I'm speaking as an individual. I'm just sharing information for your awareness, is that to engage with your elected budget advocates for your region. So you can communicate or have your budget representatives, so you have one on your board, to be the liaison to communicate with budget advocates, so you get the information back and forth about the city's financial condition, budget issues, and such. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lionel, too, very much. And I am the budget rep for United Neighborhoods and have seen you at the budget advocate meeting. So thank you very much. I'm going to now pass it over to Paula since she is now at the meeting.
Hi, Paula, wherever you are. Oop.
Yes, I'm here. I'm
Hi,
here.
Paula. Sorry to interrupt with the grandson.
That's all right. Just trying to get stuff together here. So
Where we are is item 3, website updates, as well as a plan for social media for the second phase. And the purpose for this item, and then I think Hunter needs to start weighing in, but we need to, for the board meeting on Thursday, meaning creating the agenda tonight and tomorrow morning, we need to know how much money we intend to spend.
I just want to be clear
on our
that,
outreach.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, on our outreach, if anything, on the social media. And the website update is probably all good, but also then the item 4 is the printed materials. So we will have to authorize spendings.
Okay, so I'm sorry, Laura, if I could just interrupt. Paula, where do you think we should go and what should we do, Paula, as the chairperson of the committee?
for elections?
Uh-huh.
Well, actually, I became the chairperson by no one else stepping up. So I think we should follow along with what we've been doing. And what was Hunter going to weigh in on?
I mean, my first instinct would be I think we had allocated $2,500 per set, like for the
1,500. We had allocated 1,500 for 3 phases. We probably only need 1 more phase. We probably don't need 2 phases.
Well, I think we should discuss that, how many more phases we need.
Well, wouldn't phase 2 be getting people to register for their ballots, and then phase 3 would be getting people to vote? I feel like those are both still needs, even though they might not be dire, like to spend every cent,
Yeah.
I agree with that, Hunter.
Unless we were gonna, use that money for like fire aid or something, in which case, like, okay, maybe we can and bring that down to like 1,000 per or something.
Okay, so we still have our budget of 4,500, and the fire money that we voted for at executive committee, or that we're going to bring a recommendation comes out of the outreach budget and not specifically elections.
Okay,
So I
wonderful.
was just kind of looking to see what we've spent on elections yet, just on the portal, and I don't really see where we spent. Am I missing something? But
No.
You're not missing
No,
anything.
we
No.
haven't
Okay.
spent anything.
Right. So we still
Because
have 4,500 bucks we can spend on meet and greets or printed materials or whatever we feel like needs to happen to bring folks out.
Okay.
Right. So I have my hand up.
Yes.
So the budget doesn't need to change, but we can't spend money based on the budget. We still have to do BACs for very specific things. So tentatively, the very specific things we had previously discussed back in October, November, but didn't really finalize because we were still planning to get people to run was this phase one. But tentatively had discussed a couple of different things. One is, are we going to have some sort of day at the library or half a day at the library or similar where we help people fill out their requests for ballots on paper? If yes, we have to vote for that and a minimal amount of money to go with it. If we're going to have a meet and greet, which would be sort of a meet the candidates, meet your new incoming governing board, and meet the existing governing board, because in terms of how this election is playing out, some of the people running are automatically elected so long as they get at least one vote, and others are in contested positions. So but some sort of meet and greet, that's a more expensive proposal, especially if we do it at a private location, because we'll need to pay for insurance and the refreshments. If we do it at a library or maybe the South Seas has, in other words, a city-owned facility, we don't need to provide the insurance, but we still would need to pay for refreshments. And for either way, the soonest we could have something like that would be after March. I have to do some numbers. We have to do at least 30 days in advance turning in the request. So if we turned in the event request on the 7th of February, you count out. So it's March 9th or 10th would be the soonest we could do it.
Okay.
And then the latest we would do it, because people have to start turning in their ballots, would be toward the end of March. So, but we would need to vote to do it and then get in the paperwork. Also, we didn't do any printed materials. Did we want to adjust the postcards, which we have designs for in English, Spanish, and Korean? Do we want to quickly adjust it for get your ballot and vote to be able to hand out at Ciclavia, which is the 23rd of February? Or do we want to stick to our original plan, still revise it, but put them out at coffee shops and not at Ciclavia? I don't know the answer. These are just questions.
And how effective was that in the past?
We've never been lucky enough to have a Ciclavia in the middle of our walkway in the middle of an election. So this first time we'd be testing that, having a Ciclavia route in Jefferson Park right at the time that we're having an election. So that wasn't even anything we considered in October, because we didn't know that was happening. But each of these things requires a decision, and then a decision here and a recommendation that sits on the agenda tomorrow morning for Thursday's meeting.
Okay.
And I see Teresa and Hunter have their hands up.
Okay, Hunter.
I was wondering that I like the idea of a meet and greet. I'm wondering if we did a virtual one via Zoom, if we could avoid some of that red tape of taking so long and also having to buy insurance and also having to do event stuff and food. Like we just said, hey, there's going to be a Zoom like Q&A on February 30th or February 28th, rather. Like all the candidates who want to be there can be on Zoom. If you have any questions, come and ask them. I feel like that'd be easier for people to show up and also easier for us to organize and wouldn't cost anything, hopefully.
Well,
Um,
wouldn't you want to maybe do both?
I mean, we
Meet
could
people
always
and do a candidates forum kind of thing?
Yeah.
Sure. I know we have a lot of plans that we've tried to accomplish and have accomplished 10% maybe of them, none of them. So it's just like I'm kind of trying to just like hit
Yeah.
feasible goals, you know?
Yeah.
And also I do think that, you know, our next phase would be getting people to register for their ballots. So
Right.
that's our widest net right now, because after that deadline's over, we don't need to attract any other people. If you have your ballot, great, you're probably going to vote. If you don't have your ballot, you can't vote anyway. So we don't need to waste any money or time on you. So I do think that we should spend the most money in phase 2 and then not really need to do much for phase 3. Unless there's something that I'm not thinking of, but that makes sense to me.
All right. And Teresa?
Thank you, Paula. I think those are great ideas, Hunter. I'd like to hear from David. Not only is he a candidate, but he's also shown a lot of interest in doing some work on this committee. So I'd like to hear, as an outsider, what your ideas are, David.
I think after listening to what Hunter and Laura said, honestly, there's a lot of fact in what Hunter's saying with just the timelines and some of the red tape that there can be in setting up a proper event like that. So possibly trying to work out a Zoom that we can send out correspondence for in the short term, and maybe at the Sickler V, I believe we're going to have a table, right? I think they said on like 7. So maybe we also contact anyone who is running and let them know that they'll be able to go there, just support, be around, and not like an official meet and greet, you know what I mean? Nothing formal, but just giving people a chance to show their face, whether they can or can't come. It's not, you know, a make or break, but just giving people the opportunity to be out there. And then in that correspondence that we'll have to people within our various areas, they can also just come by, see the current governing board, you know, the few people who can come, and then maybe some of the candidates, something like that, so that it doesn't necessarily cost as much. And as we get through phase 2, as Hunter is saying, where it does make sense that we spend the most money, because if not after that point, they don't have a ballot, then they're not even going to be in that wide net. So if anything, with that initial spend that we do, if we consider doing something like, oh, we have 50 coffees at a cafe, or we're going to buy 50 books, you know, at a library or something to attract people, and then we can maybe do the forum, just to kind of marry both of the ideas, but have it be a little bit on the cheaper side. You know what I mean? A few hundred or something, and we don't have to have as much insurance per se.
Also, the 2 competitive races, I had mentioned to Laura about the South Seas House. We like to rely on them. We don't have to go through the insurance or any of the other requirements.
Yeah, that's a great idea too.
Yes, definitely.
If there's any problem with that, it's that none of the candidates are in that area. So we have competitive races not near the South Seas House, but it still is a good location if we really are going to try to get people to complete the ballot or to submit to get an application, not an application, to submit to get a ballot. It could be a good place, but we could also do the South LA Cafe too. What did you say, Candace, in the chat?
I'll
Candace
voice it over. What's the deadline for the ballot? And is it just paper ballots, or can you also vote online?
Okay. You
Or
Paper
cannot,
ballots.
I'm going to answer the question. You
Okay.
cannot vote online.
Oh, really?
You have to request a ballot, and I can share the whole schedule with everybody.
But what we can do, Candace, is provide those
Right.
requests for community members. So we could have them available. We could,
Right.
you know, possibly buy stamps to have them, you know, to take off some of the financial burden of mailing it. There are things that we could do to help them
Yeah.
get a ballot.
Right. So I've just posted it's very confusing, but I've posted our schedule. So you can start applying for the ballot around March 4th, whoever you are, and you have until March 31 to apply for it. So apply is the wrong, well, it says application here. So Teresa, I know we're supposed to use the word
So not
request,
apply,
but
request.
Yeah,
Laura.
but they say application right here on their
Yeah, it
paperwork.
does.
But the point is, in order to request a ballot online, you have to have an Angelino account. So the step one for anyone requesting a ballot online is to establish an Angelino account, and then you can request a ballot. In years past, the last two elections, not before that, they did allow UNNC to have paper, they provided that paper applications and help people fill out their requests, and they allowed UNNC itself to scan and submit those requests. I'm not sure when I say I'm not sure, I mean I really don't know. They're being much more flexible this year. I don't know if they would let us do it at Ciclavia because there's a little less control, but that might be a good thing, not a bad thing. It may be that at Ciclavia we can hand out the paper requests, but not help them fill it out. I'm not sure, we'd have to ask. But and then everything has to be, if you have a ballot, you have to have it postmarked by April 8th, once you have the ballot in your hand. And that's the election day. So if it's not postmarked by Tuesday, April 8th, that won't count. And it has to be received within a certain amount of time. Oh.
And you said, so we can hand out ballots?
We can ask if we can hand out, not the ballots. We can hand out the request
Okay.
to get a ballot.
Yes, that actually sounds like a good idea. And the more we can do to promote neighborhood council, the better. I know before I got involved, I didn't even know there was such a thing. And I think there's still a lot of people out there that don't know. I try to promote it every chance I get. I talk about it at work and, to family and friends. But I think there's still a lot of people that don't even know we exist.
Right. Yeah. So Hunter, I know you went to a lot of trouble to get, well, not just the English, but the Spanish and the Korean back of the reverse side of the postcard that we ended up not printing. How hard is it to edit those three? Again, I'm going to just pull up that back side. I think I have it.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too difficult at all. We'll just have to decide on wording, I guess, and what we wanted to say. But since we didn't use it, we can just use the same template, and I can just go ahead and change the wording for it.
Because it would still say UNNC elections April 8th, 2025, but much of the rest of it
would have to change. Yeah.
Well, the top part would not.
So for how to get a ballot, right?
Well, it would be
the top part can stay, but it would, instead of saying become a candidate for one of our 14 open seats, it would say
request a
vote for one
ballot
of our competitive elections or something.
Yeah.
No, that's not a problem at all. Same with the website. I think that can go hand in hand, and I can work on both of those things this week for sure. I see that the 7th is when when you can start requesting your ballot. So I can aim to have this updated by the 7th. So people can start doing that immediately.
Well, remember, we need to print it. And that, Teresa, tell me what happened. What does it sound like is happening at Print Depot? Are they needing like a 5-day turnaround instead of a 1-day these days?
No, just a couple days turnaround. When I took it in when we thought we were going to have it ready that Friday, I took it in. He said I can have it in a couple days. So
okay, cool. So I can probably get these good by Wednesday. I think what is the 7th is what, a Friday or something? 3, 4, 5, 6. So maybe that's Thursday.
The 7th is a Friday. Yeah.
And then so I can have this done by Wednesday, and that way we don't have to obviously print them that same day, but we'll at least have them ready for the month.
And then the other thing is, Hunter, this graphic we got from Dunn. Can you see it?
Yeah.
I think he has that toolkit, Laura.
Yeah. So we can start with, Facebook and MailChimp. I mean, coincidentally, it's really close to being our colors. So we could also use this, not print this, obviously, but even without having finished the postcards, but in terms of counting backwards, and also a proposal, do we want to have those postcards or just English postcards or just English and Spanish but not Korean postcards at Ciclavia, in addition to our other plan of getting them out to cafes and local things? And if so, how many are we printing and what's the cost?
When is Ciclavia again?
20th Sunday, February 23rd. So we would have to have
So at
be
that point,
able
you
to
have
pick
like
them
a week
up by
left.
the 21st.
Yeah. And you have a week left to request it at that point. I would say, I don't know. We were gonna print what, 100 of each last phase?
No.
Is that accurate?
No, we're going to print 200 of each,
Okay.
so a total of 600 for $210. But I need to check that. I have to. I was just
210
gonna
for
check right
each?
now.
I'm sorry,
Each, I
210
think
total?
for each card, each language.
Yeah.
I'm checking right now at my old email.
Right, because I think it was going to total, including tax, blah, 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 just under 700 for all three,
I see.
I think was what you had told me.
Maybe we do. My gut's just saying that's too many. It's, especially for 1 month. What if we did like 100 of each and we gave away, 25 to 50 of them at Ciclavia? I don't even know if we'll pass out with 50.
Yeah,
My gut is it's too few in English, and I do more English. And then the question is how many in Korean and how many in Spanish? If
Over
we're using
200 though?
Ciclavia. Well, thousands of people go to Ciclavia, so either we
Yeah,
don't
but they're
leave
not
it
all
on
within our
either we
neighborhood.
don't leave it on the table and we only hand it out to someone we've actually talked to and identified as a person who's eligible to vote, which we should
Yeah.
do. But there's, I think, when you consider that our booth in Ciclavia is right where we have a contested election, it's in Area 5. Our booth will be somewhere around the park or South LA Cafe. It's in that area around 4th and Jefferson. So it's Area 5.
Mhm.
And those neighbors, I think, will show up. So I think we have people that should be getting ballots so they can vote because they actually have someone to vote for.
All
Okay.
right.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
But Teresa, what do you think in terms of numbers?
I actually happen to agree with Laura on this, that we probably need more, but we're still talking about the postcard, the 5x7
Yeah,
postcard.
we're talking
right?
about the postcards that we're otherwise going to leave places.
Right. And remember, the initial funding was for $1,500, not just for postcards, but a banner
Yeah, we're
and
not doing any
some
of
other
that.
things. So we have allocated $1,500 for printing for Print Depot, or because all these items were going to come from Print Depot. So we certainly could do more than, 200.
And
Okay, yeah.
let me
I
also.
just want to say one
Oh,
more thing.
no,
I
go
really
ahead.
do agree that our push has to be to get people to get the ballots. I mean,
Right.
this is the main thing we have to do. We're not going to be able to get much. We're not going to be able to make sure that they send in the ballot. We're not going, because they're not going to be at home with them. We really have to try to encourage everybody to get that ballot. I would like to be able to get some stamps. I mean, I don't know, or whatever we can do to make it easy for them to complete it and to mail it in so they get it. And then, just really try to remind them to mail it in.
To get it
we
in.
had the last election, how many people voted? 20 people. I mean, we're really bad at that. And I know we had a big plan this year and things changed, but
and let me ask, how effective has it been? I mean, I would definitely agree English and Spanish, but how effective has it been in other languages? Is that really something we should concern ourselves with?
well, we started off with English, Spanish, and Korean because we were doing an outreach to inform people about the election.
Okay.
But now, and to get candidates, and now that the candidate portal has closed, there's no sense doing any outreach to get additional candidates, and we have a small area that's Korean. So I agree that we should focus on the English and Spanish speaking people in our community.
Okay, thank you.
I have another kind of just interesting question. I know that people are drawn to places where there is food. What are the rules about like giving away things while also getting people to sign up for their ballots? So like I know we talked about a virtual meet and greet, and I know we have postcards, but I'm trying to think what's going to actually bring someone in. So Teresa made an interesting point where she was talking about like banners or like those little post-up signs that sometimes I see on the corner, like the little yard signs with the metal at the bottom. I guess I'm just trying to think, besides postcards and like formal meet the candidates, are there small things that we could do, like maybe someone post up at South LA and say, hey, if you want to come get your ballot, we'll be here for 2 hours or something like that. That's not necessarily an event that we cater, but just like a quick, hey, if you want to sign up, here we are. Here's our table. Does that make sense?
Candace, it's not about catering or lack of catering. That is what the city clerk considers an event. So it's an event. If we're going to say to people, come to the Jefferson Park Library or come to the South Seas House, we won't have to pay for insurance, but we still have to call it an event.
Okay.
And that's okay. It's not really that, something like that is not that hard. We're not having a lot of vendors who have to provide insurance. We're not their own insurance. We're not having, a bouncy house or anything like that. So it's not that hard to turn in an event request.
Okay, great.
And if we aren't totally sick of Subway sandwiches, we are now reapproved for the Subway at Western, because I did send in a photograph of their updated health license. So that part's not all that hard. It's just the timing. It's like looking at the calendar.
And when can
the
we do
last chance we have to vote on it, unless we wanted to have a special board meeting, which we do not, is this Thursday. So the last chance to put it on the agenda is tomorrow morning. Whatever it or its are. Teresa has her hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. Also, Candace, if we were to do it, let's say something like at the South Seas House, but we could do it outside under the gazebo. So it's more, and the fallback would be we could go inside. If it's raining, we can always go back inside to the South Seas House. We're going to get outside, then people can come. We can have the Subway sandwiches. So we'll get people who aren't necessarily there for neighborhood, trying to figure out what's going on. But we're like, hey, you're here. Here's some, and if we have the candidates there, they can still talk. But it really would be an outreach to get people to apply or request their applications. So
that's a great idea.
We could have some music. It could be a little bit more engaging than just, and the library is great. I think we need to do something in Jefferson Park because we have a competitive race in Jefferson Park. That's a little more subdued, but we could do something, or maybe do that, Leslie Shaw, but not Leslie Shaw, because we do have different applications with Leslie Shaw.
Right. Christina, I know this is your very, very, very first meeting, but you came for a reason. Do you have any thoughts on any of this?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I had a hair appointment at the same time. It's embarrassing. I'm just wondering, is it okay to door knock?
As a candidate, it is, but
just like when you're door knocking, can you help people register for their ballots or not?
Sure. I'm going to state this as somebody who's not running. So, but yes, what I did, and I ran during the pandemic. I actually printed some off and handed them to my neighbors because it was the same process because of the pandemic to request a ballot. So yes, certainly go to your community
if I have a vacant unit in one of my buildings, I can host an event in my building, right? Or
For
is
If
that
it's
yourself,
your,
certainly.
you
For
can, but we
yourself.
can't.
but
Yeah.
you can't. I understand you can't, but I'm just trying to think of like how I can do outreach along with my campaigning so that, because it sounds like I heard something about 20 people voting. And so it
Yes.
sounds like getting people registered to vote and getting them to vote.
Mhm.
There's a really big need. And I, I'm a realtor. As a realtor, I'm accustomed to calling people and I'm accustomed to knocking on an awful lot of doors. So I'm just
I-
wondering what might be the most helpful other than doing an event at the library, like things that you do traditionally.
Well, we are restricted as an organization to what we can do to promote the election. And we have a lot of leeway, but you, except for paying for someone to mail a ballot, I think you have a lot of flexibility on how you can get people
Okay.
to register for you.
Okay, because I'm with Candace. Like nobody really understands neighborhood council. I do because I worked for a library commissioner almost 10 years after neighborhood council came to be. And so I have a really intimate experience with it. But I'm with Candace. Like most people have absolutely no clue that this exists.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say most people because
Many. I'm going to go with
yeah,
many.
okay. Yeah.
I'm going to go with
Yes,
many.
and I agree.
I thank you for that because many. So I'm I'm happy to support in any way that I can and do the candidates, but I'm also wondering if the candidates can do sound bites that can be thrown on Instagram or the website with the UNNC. Is there a way to do something like that?
Oop. And Hunter left, so
Hunter left,
we'll reach
and
out to him and ask that
Okay.
question.
I don't think we've
Okay.
ever done anything like that, have we? I don't. That doesn't sound familiar.
I don't
Well,
think the neighborhood council hasn't. The question, I guess, would be, can candidates do it? And maybe they can, you know.
well, I mean, if we treated it like a candidate forum, meaning make sure every single candidate has the
exactly.
opportunity and the same
Yeah.
amount of time,
Yeah.
I think we probably could, but I don't know that Hunter has the time in February
Right.
Got
to
it.
make it so, but he might have the time in March. So, we should ask him.
Okay.
And that would not cost us money. So the imperative thing for today is what goes on the agenda that has to be voted on for tomorrow, for the
For
board meeting
Thursday.
this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are those items? Let's get to it so we can get
Well,
going.
I would say one item is to set an amount for printing postcards. I mean, narrow it down to that.
Right.
And Teresa, do you think we can do
I
enough
think
for nine?
we've already set a budget for $1,500. So
It
let
wasn't
us
for
stay
printing
with that.
postcards. It was up to 700
I
for
know
the
it was.
cards.
I don't know, but why don't you talk about the things that you want to do and how much they might cost, Laura?
Okay, well, I would like to have at least one get together, whatever it is, and maybe it's a combination of meeting the board members and doing the ballot. So I would say up to $500, and then but probably plan to spend less, and let's plan to do it at a city building so that we don't have to add an unknown amount for insurance.
Okay.
Okay, so that's
Well, that's item
$2,000.
one
So
item.
that's 2,000. Candace already said we have 4,500.
Okay, so I'm
So-
saying up to 500. Where'd we get to 2,000? Is it the first
Because
1,500?
1,500 for the printing cost at Print Depot.
Oh,
Okay.
And because what we may decide is let's do a banner. I mean, there's some
Yeah, but I want to see what we had. I'll just tell you that they're getting the clerk is reading the
we have
BAC.
allocated, and Candace will tell us that the BAC was approved. The board voted on it for $1,500 for printing at Print Depot. We're done with that. We now
Okay, I'm
have
looking
money
to
left.
see what it actually says, Teresa, because we
it's-
just
Let
might.
Candace, as the
So
treasurer.
yeah, so it said okay. So the first $1,500, I feel like I just looked at this. It said something like phase one for elections. So I
Right.
don't know that it specified whether it was printing or whether it was an event. It just said phase one.
Okay.
So, and I mean, in real, the city don't know what phase one is. And if we didn't
I'm
spend it
sorry, the
first time,
city
we
is
can do.
reading these
No,
now.
no, no, no,
We
no.
have to
I do understand
redo.
that, but I'm saying as far as phases, right? If we didn't spend the money from that phase, we still have the money there. So if we wanted to print more things, that's why I was asking about like yard signs or the little things we could stick on the corner. If we wanted to move away from just postcards, we have the leeway to do that because we haven't spent any money yet.
Okay, I'm really trying to be very specific. They're reading our BACs. If it
What does the
says
BAC what
phase
does it say,
one,
Laura?
I'm looking,
Wait,
I'm
can
looking,
Laura finish, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Laura.
I'm looking for it. If it literally said for phase one, we'll have to redo it. That's all I'm trying to say. If it said printing for elections, and I'm in the folder looking for the stuff, because of course none of them have names on them.
And
And
I can't imagine that we would have put forth a motion that said phase one
well,
elections. We would have said printing, because we came to the board with the printing, the cost of the printer, the postcards, the
okay, can we just
ballots.
do it this way? Because I'm not going to be able to easily find it in the middle of this meeting.
Candace, can you
Can
find
we
the
just
BAC?
make-
I'm looking.
Okay.
Can we just
Okay.
make an agreement that we want to go up to, still want to go up to $1,500 for printing for the elections? If the original BAC, which Candace or I will find tonight, said phase one, we'll just vote on it again on Thursday to just say the word elections and get rid of the phase one. But the dollar amount you're saying, Teresa, is the right amount, 1,500? That's what we should
voted
do?
on for printing.
No, I understand, but we're now moving on. Is 1,500
Yes.
still a good amount?
I think, well, it does two things. It allows us to get postcards for Spanish and English. It
Mhm.
allows us to get ballots or
Whatever.
applications, whatever we're
Right.
calling it, to get plenty of those. And we can also get some signs. If, like Candace mentioned, if we could do those designs and get them,
Right.
Okay, sounds good.
So
I-
we'll confirm,
found
Candace
it.
and I will confirm what it actually
Candace,
said.
Candace
Yeah,
has it.
I found it. It says approve initial phase one budget
Ugh.
up to $1,500 for printing, and then in parentheses, postcards, banners, etc., and other election outreach efforts.
Right, but it definitely said initial phase one.
Yes, it says
Yeah,
that.
This could be a
that's
phase
the,
one. This can be phase one. Who we make the determination, if I understand correctly, what a phase
What
one
the
is.
phase is.
Yeah, I don't see a problem.
Okay. Do you see a problem that we have to vote again on the refreshments for the homeless count because we actually had the date of the homeless count in the darn BAC and the
Laura,
date has
what-
changed?
This
What
one
is phase
doesn't have a
one?
date.
It doesn't
just
have a
says phase-
date.
no,
I
it just says
recognize
phase
that.
one.
Okay. I'm just not a risk taker, but if you guys want to,
Yes.
And I
We're-
think it works because we haven't spent the money yet. I think if we spent money and then like specifically wrote this is for candidate outreach, then maybe we might be in a pickle. But
Right.
it literally just says budget up to $1,500 for printing, postcards, banners, etc. And
for
other
initial
election
phase
outreach.
one.
Yeah. I mean, you want me to? I can
Yeah,
share it with you so you can see.
I know it says initial phase one.
I
Yeah.
guess my question is, what is phase one? We make the determination. We didn't
What phase
do
one is, right?
we didn't do any candidate outreach. So for us, this is phase one.
That's
All
And
right.
that is getting people to do the ballots.
That is correct.
All right. So it
This
doesn't
is our
need,
fir- this
does
is
not
our
need to
first
be on
reading.
the ballot. Oh, I'm on the agenda. Okay.
All right. What's the next item, Laura?
Hang on, I'm writing
Yeah.
notes on the
Yeah.
back.
Yes.
Sorry if I could just jump in, Paula. So that leaves $3,000. And Laura, you think it'd be $500 for an event?
Well, I mean, if we're gonna buy every a platter, if we do Subway sandwiches, the platters, they're now $70 for what becomes, it's 5 times 4, 20 small sandwiches. I mean, pieces of sandwiches. So if we assume 3 platters, then not 3 sandwiches, obviously, 3 platters, that's 70 plus 70 plus
210.
right, plus tip.
And does that include chips and?
It does not include the chips. So a box of chips is 35, meaning those big boxes is like 35, assuming they're not from Canada or Mexico. Sorry. And yeah, so we're looking already at $300 worth of food without the drinks. So if we're just having water, that's not very much money.
And
If
that's
we're
for
gonna have
about 60
cookies, I mean,
people?
so I wrote $500 because we'll have cookies.
Right. So for about
Okay.
60 people, Laura, we think 60 people?
Sure, ideally,
Okay.
or well, 50 people.
Okay.
I mean, about 60 of the little small version, small.
Right.
The goal would be to try
sandwiches.
to get 50 people at the South Seas House, or to get 50 people. We
Yes.
can't serve food at the library.
Well,
but
we did serve food at the library the last time. They let us in their meeting room.
Jefferson Park Library.
Jefferson Park Library allowed
Okay.
us to have food.
Okay.
So
that would
I
be
don't
2
know about
events.
Washington Irving, but Jefferson Park did.
Okay, so that'd be 2 events, more or less. One at South Seas House for 500.
Oh.
One at the library for 500.
Oh, so it's $1,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, no, I'm asking. I'm trying to figure out where you're going with this. So
Well,
that would be
Well,
1,000.
I mean, you
Yeah.
know what? For our agenda, let's just do 2.
Yeah.
We may
that
not
makes
have the
sense.
bandwidth to do 2, but let's attempt to do 2.
Yes.
I think
That's a
we
good
can
idea.
if we're like this. If we kind of go through, this is what the election committee recommends, but
Right.
Candace reads the motion, we call for the vote, and then we go to the next thing. The last question
Okay.
I have, though, is Candace, now with the remaining 1,000, what do you think we want to do with that?
Fire victim.
So the first 2 events at the South Sea or the library, that would be just signing up for the ballot. I think there
Well, we
is
could
some.
meet and greet. We can have
Well,
board members there.
there could be meet and greets there too. I guess there could be.
I mean, there's not that many days.
Yeah, like I kind of wonder what kind of what's the most bang for a buck? Like, how can we get the most people out
Okay.
in a way that will really engage them? Because I know that we have things we've tried, but I'm trying to think if there's something different that we can
Right.
try that
Well,
would
I
get
want to
folks.
also point out, the first, since more or less Monday the 10th is our 30 days in advance for events.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you all have calendars, that gives us the weekend of 15-16, the weekend of 22-23, and the weekend of 29-30. And we're done. Because they have to have applied for their ballot
By a certain
by,
point.
I'm looking, 31st, Monday the 31st. So it's not like we can do a lot of things.
So
Other than if we want to have one final push, please vote, please vote, please vote, and do something in early April.
I see.
So-
So once you already have your ballot, for folks who have the ballot,
You need
just
to
have a
mail it.
thing to say,
Yeah.
hey, now that you have your ballot, mail it, please.
But I
We
don't know.
appreciate it. Yeah.
I'm already
So-
bored with being around UNNC too much if we're going to do 3. I'm just saying.
Okay, so
Do we
what-
still want to do the South LA thing or no?
Well,
the only thing is it becomes more difficult trying to get all the permits necessary
Oh, got it.
for an event there.
Got
and
it.
the
We
insurance.
just need a little bit of leeway time. So if I just get on the same page with everybody, we're going to allocate, we've already allocated $1,500. That's going to be for printing things. We'll work on the design and what we're going to do, try to have something ready for Ciclavia and have some printed materials. Then we're going to host an event to receive your sign up to request a ballot and also come out meet the candidates at South Seas House and Jefferson Park Library. And then we're going to try to do a Zoom where everybody can come on and the candidates can talk a little bit about who they are and what
Yeah.
they kind of work they want to do. So there we go.
And
We
that
have
costs
3 great
nothing.
events. So what I'd like to do on those 2 BACs that we're going to put forth the motion, since we allocated 4,500 to give us some flexibility, maybe we should increase them to $750 for each instead of just 500. Go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, I mean, I feel more comfortable using less of this money for this effort and moving the unspent money when it's I understand that might not be your opinion, but we have 3 NPG requests
Okay,
that
this
we
is
haven't
money
funded.
that's aside. I'm not talking
Well,
about.
I know we
Oh,
had
okay.
set it aside for this, but it's unfortunate, but we don't have a robust list of candidates and contested elections. So I don't know how much money we really want to spend.
Okay.
That's my
I
opinion.
hear what you're saying, Laura, and let me just counter that with, we just heard from someone who's running and from Candace that many people don't know about the neighborhood council. So we could use this as an opportunity
Sure.
to also get people to find out
Involved.
more about it. You know, do a
Right.
really strong outreach effort just so people can find out about the neighborhood council.
Right. And
But Candace, can I
And-
just ask you, do we not have funds for fire? I thought
We
you
do.
guys moved some money. Oh, you guys
do.
did. Okay.
We do. It's fine. So we
Okay.
don't have to take money out of elections.
well, I'm not trying to
vote
take
on
it
this
out
thing.
right this second. I'm just
Yeah.
trying not necessarily spend all of it. But here's a pure outreach question that nobody here is the outreach chair, but Teresa may know the answer. Also at Ciclavia, unrelated to the election per se, do we have enough of the flyers or brochures about UNNC, or do we need
Oh.
to print some more of those for Ciclavia?
I think we ordered 3,000. So
Okay, so we don't need to do another unrelated. I mean, in other words, we don't need to do an expense BAC for that.
Their
No.
We
bins
don't need
in
to
the
print
storage
anything.
unit.
yeah, they're in storage. I feel
the
like we
bins
have
in the storage
at least
unit.
1,000.
Okay.
Plenty of that. And if we needed to, we could add it to the 1,500 that we just
Well, I understand. I'm just asking. I'm asking because, again, only board meeting we have. If we needed an agenda item to print more outreach materials unrelated to the election, then
Yeah, no, I
you
think
need
we
to
did.
know. Okay.
So I'd like to just clarify the 2 motions that we're talking about sending to the board, the dollar amount. Candace,
The dollar amounts that I've now written down is we're going to authorize up to $500 for each of 2.
I'd like to change that.
Just
Can we discuss
$1,000
that
for
some
2
more?
events.
Well,
What did you
she's
say,
saying
Candace?
Teresa wants $750 for each of 2 events. I don't know how we can spend that much more on food, to be honest.
I mean, if
There-
we don't, we don't. But just
Right.
to cover us.
Okay.
Okay.
Just because it's not that easy to buy the food. It's easy
Gotcha.
to buy from Subway, but if we had to identify another place to buy the food from, then that's where it starts getting less easy. Although maybe not terribly uneasy to buy a cake from Ralph's or something. I mean, we could probably do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, we have approved just the funding that, I mean, the Thai place for our board meetings. We've gotten approval for that.
Yeah, what the clerk is now saying is we can buy anything we want anywhere for board meetings because that's a different category. But anything that comes under outreach or events, we have to have the health license information and the
And the what, Laura?
the BRT business registration and tax certification
And
thing.
we already have that for Subway?
Yes, we have all of that for Subway.
So
And
that makes it
we
easier.
did that for the homeless, right?
Well, the only thing that we had to update was the health license because it turns out that those expire annually. So anything we've done for anybody else a year ago, we can't. So like that taco truck, If it was a year ago, we couldn't do it again. If it's within the last year, we could do the taco truck again, for example.
Oh, I think that was rather expensive though, but
Yeah,
that
it
would be
was.
another
Yeah.
interesting. Now, see, that's an
But just
interesting way to get people to
FYI.
come out.
Yeah, but I'm just saying FYI, it turns out that as long as, well, no, it's not within a year. It depends we did it in June, so it depends when they renewed their license. So that's the
let's
problem.
not worry about it. We are talking
Okay.
about Subway, so
We'll do Subway.
Yeah, go with that.
Okay. All right. Well, it's 6:00, you guys.
So I think I could answer Teresa's question because I've been taking notes here. So
Okay.
it seems like the two actions we're going to bring to the board is up to $1,500 for 2 external events. And then I have here South Seas and Jefferson Park Library in parentheses, and then up to $1,500 for election printing, which we already have a BAC for.
Correct.
Right. So we don't
Does
need
that
to
sound
do a
right?
motion on that, right, Candace? We've already done a motion and we've already approved that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So that you guys have decided. So we only need one motion out of this
Which is the 1,500 for the South Seas House.
for two events.
For two events.
To be held between blah 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 and blah blah blah, between now, between March 10 and April.
The deadline date.
Yeah. So okay. And I think that's it, right?
Yeah, look at us, 6:00 on the nose.
Well, we haven't done that round robin discussion unless this was the round robin along with everything else.
Let's consider this the round robin.
Yeah, that was round robin.
Yeah,
enough for me.
6:00. That's right.
Well, I would guess, does anybody have any other thoughts or suggestions before? I know we have guests too.
Oh,
Well, yes, I will say this, since we're in an elections committee meeting and it's the round robin, we will get the contact information as best as the city clerk has it next Friday, February 7, and it's going to be sent to Paula.
Okay.
Paula, you'll have to check your email. It's going to be sent to you.
Okay.
And I think I think this time everyone who's running that's new are people we either know or can figure out. So even if we don't have their information. So I think one of the things that we should probably discuss is inviting all of the candidates to start participating with UNNC at its committees and coming to the board meetings, right? Because almost all of them will be elected to the board.
Mm-hmm. And they need
There's very few contested positions. So I feel like we should be sure we take advantage of that we will have their contacts and say, we're going to be at Ciclavia. We're going to have dates are not scheduled yet, but we'll have these things that we talked about tonight. So
that's a great suggestion. So they can start getting involved. Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. If nothing else, and I'm with Candace and Paula on adjourning the meeting at 6:00. Oh, did you have your hand up, Christina? Do you have your hand up?
No, she's saying adjourn the meeting. Thumbs up, adjourn the meeting. Okay.
All right.
And I'm going to save the chat.
And welcome, Kathy. I see that you came to
Christina.
the meeting late, but if there's anything any questions we can answer for you, please feel free to ask.
And I'm going to say, hi, Kathy. How are you?
Thank you, everyone, for participating. And that's my great grandson you hear in the background.
Oh, baby.
He's getting ready to try to step on a ball. Okay.
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 And with that, the meeting is adjourned.